Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Jaya Kunya Acharya Sutta Shastra Srimad Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Shri Guru Parampara Ki Shri Rupa Shri Sanatan Shri Bhattanath Shri Prabhupada Bhattadasa Raghunath Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavina Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Gopinath Ki Shri Vrindavanam Ki Shri Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Ganga Maya Manamaya Ki Bhakti Devi Tulsi Devi Ki Shri Shri Radha Madhava Manahara Ki Shri Charanat Baldev Subhadra Ki Shri Shri Gaunitai Ki Shri Gaura Premanande. All glories to the awesome devotees. All glories to the awesome devotees. Tutte le gloire de vos assemblées. Toutes les gloires à Shigo et à Shivanga. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pastime Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachani Vishishimavad Vashkachani Tesatani Omagyanatimanasya Chinansna Shnakya Shakshani Tamina Tasmai Shigove Namah Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pastime Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachani Nirvishesha Srinyavadi Paskachani Desatani Srila Prabhupada Ki. So this evening I would want to share you the first part of the Kaliya pastime of as we find in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 16. I discussed this Kaliya pastime together with the Bhaktivedanta students, and we discussed it on the basis of the commentaries of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, but also Sanatana Goswami, Jiva Goswami, that I also listened to all the presentations of this person by Radha Govinda Maharaj, who brings out also very particular points that but we know that all these demons, in Krishna's pastimes, they present an anartha. Artha means wealth. Anartha means what's not desired. That obstacles on the path of devotional service, anarthas. So which anartha represents Kaliya? So, what do you think? That, yes?
There was so much anartha that all around Vrindavan, everything was going dead.
Yeah.
So, it's all anartha that we can see in the Kaliya.
Okay, that's one perspective. Thank you. Yeah? Please? Envy. Envy. That, okay, envy. Thank you. Other anarthas? Deceit, yeah. I have a few more. Cruelty, that for sure we will see. Cruelty, envy, we heard enviousness, and pride. What was Kaliya? Well, what was his pride? What was he proud about?
is poison.
It's poison, yes. Yeah, so most people, they are proud of their wealth, and his wealth was poison. And he had a lot of poison. He poisoned the entire Yamuna and all the lands around. So that was very malicious. That's another anartham. Cruel, pride, and also quarrel, that brutality, we can say, that violence, yeah.
And arrogance, that he thought he could do anything to anyone he wanted, like, you know, an ego run uncontrollable.
Yeah, yeah. He was also crooked, that, yeah. So these are a lot of things. It is we will hear our Acharyas will say Kaliya was like a heart disease. Heart disease in the Yamuna, yes, the story starts that once the coward boys, they were feeling very thirsty because it was summer in Vrindavan. The glaring summer sun was above. And they went to the Yamuna with the cows, and the cows were also very thirsty, but the Yamuna had been poisoned by Kaliya. Like Shiva Goswami says, the cows and then later the boys drank the water. Now the cows tended to wander about because of thirst due to the summer heat. Seeing the water from high on the bank, the cows ran into the water without knowing about the poison. The boys were also afflicted by the heat, but they knew the water was poisonous. But seeing that the cows had died, they also drank water. They wanted to give up their lives. Thus the cows are mentioned first and the boys are mentioned second. The cows and boys were ahead of Krishna a little, since they could not bear leaving him alone. It was also practical to go in groups, since there were unlimited cows. How many cows? How many cows had Nanda Maharaj?
900,000.
900,000, yes. So Krishna went behind them. It would have been impossible for him to permit the cows to drink the water if he had seen it. The reason for the bad water was the poison. And where does the poison come from? Kaliya.
But it seemed not to change the color of it.
To know that, but yes, Kaliya was in Yamuna, but it is said, Acharya said it's somewhere south of Vrindavan, that it's not close to where Krishna and Mother Yasoda and Nanda Maharaj were living. And in south there is That is a kind of lake, a big lake in the Yamuna. And he was in that lake. And that lake, there, deep in the water, he said he had an entire city practically. A big palace. But these are not ordinary snakes. Demigod snakes with a lot of mystic power. They could change their forms and so on. But Kaliya, formerly, he was in the ocean, far away. But he got in a fight with Garuda. Garuda is the carrier of Lord Vishnu. Because Garuda is the king of the birds. He's a devotee, but he's not really a vegetarian. Birds like Garuda, they like to eat snakes. But the snakes had made an agreement with Garuda. We will make you an offering of many fruits every month, or every week, I don't know. And we will make this offering, and you take this offering, and Garuda said, okay, and then I won't eat snakes. At that time, I will, and that was an agreement. So every family of snakes was making offerings every week at a certain place and put so many fruits there. But Kaliya was thinking, who is this Garuda? Who does he think he is? And he did not agree with the agreement, and he was taking himself the offering that the other snakes made for Garuda. And he was eating the offering. So when Garuda came to know that, he became very angry. You must know Garuda and Kaliya. They had the same father, I think it was Kashyapa Muni, but they had different mothers, but they were half brothers. So Garuda is very powerful with his wings. If he touches Kaliya, he's gone. But he did not want to kill him because he was his brother. So he just gave him a slap, but that was sufficient for him. That was sufficient to leave the ocean. So why then did he come to Vrindavan? That is another story. That will be explained in chapter 17. There we have the story of Saubhari Muni. Saubhari Muni was a great sage. And he was a tapasvi. He was doing austerities in the water. In the water he was doing austerities. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, at the end of the 11th chapter, he says it also in the Uddhava Gita, I cannot be known by austerities. I cannot be known by charity alone, or I cannot be known just by study of the Vedas. That's not possible, he says. I cannot be known by these things. what's the purpose of spiritual life? It's to know who Krishna is. And that's the purpose of the Vedas. Vedasa sarver ami bhavya, Krishna says, Bhagavad Gita 15. I'm to be known by the Vedas, Krishna says. So that is, I'm to be known. Because if we know Krishna, then we can know ourselves. And then we can know our relationship. And then only you can act on the spiritual platform. Acting in the relationship with Krishna. And that acting in the relationship with Krishna is called devotional service. But Saubhara Muni was doing austerities and he derived great power from that. He got a lot of pious credits from that. But the soul, what's the activity of the soul? Activity of the soul, that the soul must be attached to something. In the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna explains clearly to Arjuna, the soul cannot be inactive, must be active. And how does the soul act? Because Srila Prabhupada said, well, while the soul is in the body, it's so active. Why should it not be active anymore inside of the body? So the action of the soul is becoming attached to something. It's called desire. And that's what we really do in this world. We desire. Krishna says, Praktika yamani gunakarma samsankari vimudatma kartamidamante. Those who think that they are doing everything in this world are vimudas, asses. We do only by desire. I desire to speak and the body speaks. Krishna arranges according to the desire, as we deserve. But Saubhara Muni, he developed a desire to become attached to the fish in the water. And he started to feel compassion for the fish. Of course, Garuda, he used to come to the Yamuna to eat some fish. And one day, Garuda came to the Yamuna and he ate a big fish, the biggest fish in the water. That was the leader of the fish. And Saubhara Muni became very disturbed. And he cursed Garuda with all his power. The power he derived from this tapasya. And he cursed him that if you ever come back to this Yamuna and try to eat fish or serpents or whatever, you will die. So he got cursed. Of course, although at that time we didn't have the internet and so on, and no WhatsApp, but that spread very quickly also, especially in the serpent world, because they knew, yes, Garuda, if we are there, Garuda cannot eat us. So Kaliya, out of fear of Garuda, moved to the Yamuna, because there Garuda could not come. But we see it starts with the cowboys. They drank this water. So from the moment they touched the water, they lost their consciousness and they fell lifeless at the water's edge. But then Krishna saw that and he became very compassionate for his devotees. And he brought them back to life just by his glance. So that we will see a few times in the pastimes how Krishna saves the cowboys, went into the mouth of Aghasur. They also so-called died. Yes. Of course, when Krishna revived the cowboys stood up and they looked at each other in great astonishment that they realized, yes, we died and Krishna, by his glance, he has saved us. And that's the beginning of the pastime of Kaliya. So that's the introduction. We will discuss verse by verse. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Shri Sukha Uvacha Vilopya Dusitam Krishnam Krishna Krishna Vina Vibhu Tasya Vishuddhim Amvicham Sarpam Tam Udavasayat. Translation. Sukadev Goswami said, Lord Shri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, seeing the Yamuna river had been contaminated by the black snake Kaliya, desired to purify the river, and thus the Lord banished him from it. So we can see this first verse, that's a summary of the whole pastime. This is the pastime we hear in this 16th chapter, the whole chapter. But what will we learn from this chapter? We will learn how much the residents of Vrindavan loved Krishna. That is a very important point. We will see how deep is their love for Krishna. How will they feel and express their love when Krishna is enwrapped in the coils of Kaliya? Of course, Kaliya had polluted the Yamuna, but also all the trees around, they also died. Said birds were flying above it and just by the poisonous substance, the gases, they just fell dead into the Yamuna. So that was a problem, because Lord Krishna loves the residents of Vrindavan and he wants to remove Kaliya from this place. We will see how merciful that is to Kaliya. That's also another aspect of this pastime. How merciful it is to him. That, of course, Kaliya has a serpent body. You get a body and we have to act according to the body that we get. That no much choice. Of course, it was our choice to get his body. And that's an important point. That we are accepting bodies. How do we accept bodies? We accept bodies by our desire. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, you can in 4:17 and 18. 4:17 he says, you can have three kinds of desires. We can have desires that cause karma, desires that can cause vikarma, and desires which cause akarma. Three kinds. Krishna consciousness is the process of changing our desires. So it's so important that we always think, why do I want to do this? What's my motive? Your motive changes everything. I explained a few days ago in a Bhagavad Gita class this verse. It's like you have a machine with three buttons. Three buttons. You have the green one, you have the red one, and you have the blue one. If you push the green one, that's called karma or sukarma. These are activities for sense gratification which are allowed in the scriptures. That's also, we find these instructions in the section of the Vedas, karma kanda. But this karma kanda for the root is poison, like the poison of Kaliya. It is poison. It gives good reactions. Good reactions means that in your next life you will get material happiness. But to get that material happiness, you have to take birth, you have to die. Is that so good? No. It's material. But if you desire to do these things, you are pushing the green button. If you desire, and the green button means you activate material nature, and you will get reactions. In that case, the reactions are good. But we can also desire sinful activities, breaking all the four regulative principles, act against the scriptures. And that's the red button. And the red button will give you in your next life suffering. Suffering. So, even the red button, even if you want to enjoy it, you do not do it according to the scriptures, you will also suffer. Krishna says that in Bhagavad Gita, Yei samspasya bhogatu kayonya evateadyantu te kauntyana tishuramate buddha. Sages have said That one who wants to enjoy this one world, the reaction will be suffering. And the sages say, it's not worthwhile, don't do it because it's just temporary. What's the point? So, green button, red button. But Krishna says, no, you have to push the blue button. Krishna is blue, the blue button. Because how do you, by pushing the blue button, you activate the spiritual nature. And when you activate the spiritual nature, then all your reactions will be purified. They will go, all your reactions. Gradually they will all go, all these reactions. And you don't get a reaction for your action. That's what Bhagavad Gita is about. Krishna says to Arjuna, you must fight, I order you. And if you act according to my orders, then there is no sin in killing everyone. Because besides, Krishna says, you think you can kill your grandfather, Bhishma, but Bhishma is not the body, he's a spirit soul. You cannot kill him, you cannot slay them, he says. You cannot kill him. You can make them change the body. And Bhishma Deva has an old body. Is it good to have an old body? No. So many problems with an old body. So if you kill him, you will get a young body, a new one. And that's good. A new body is better than an old one. So it's another perspective of life. But you must know about the blue button, how to push that button. Push that button means I do everything for the pleasure of Krishna. And Kaliya was only thinking about himself. And Saubhara Muni was also thinking about himself. He was thinking, I'm going to be compassionate. I'm going to be compassionate for one fish, for this leader. And what was the result? The result was that all the fish died in the Yamuna, because Kaliya came. That was this result. Instead of being compassionate, he killed all the fish by attracting Kaliya, by his curse. So we think we are going to do good in this world, but if our actions are not related to Krishna, it's nothing good, actually. It will not bear good results. So, in this chapter, Krishna will bring Kaliya under his control. That he will... Kaliya will surrender to Krishna, will please him with his prayers, and then he will be banished from the Yamuna. Because Kaliya was polluting this Yamuna with poison. If our heart is full with this cruelty, this envy and so on, then we are polluting others. That we are not very compassionate to our environment. So Krishna decided that Kaliya should be removed from this place. Siracha vacha katam mantaryale kade nyajvinat bhagavanahim savai bhau yugas vasam yatasit vipra kaptyatam. King Parikshit inquired, O Lord Sage, please explain how the Supreme Personality of Godhead chastised the serpent Kaliya within the unfathomable waters of Yamuna, and how it was that Kaliya had been living there for so many ages. How that Kaliya had been living there for so many ages, that will be explained in chapter 17. So, it's interesting as it is said here in the Sanskrit. Savaibu Yuga Vasam Yuga. A Yuga. That's very long. He was living there for yugas. That's a long time. That's very, very long. That takes 3. Kamam bhagavatastasya bhumna svachanda bhaktinam upalodaro charitam kastripyetam ritam jusam. O Brahman, the unlimited Supreme Personality of Godhead freely acts according to his own desires. Who could be satiated when hearing the nectar of the magnanimous pastimes he performed as a cowboy in Vrindavan? That's a question. So, Gopal. Gopal is the name of Krishna, right? What does Gopal mean? Friend of the cows, one who is herding the cows. But Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives another meaning to Gopal. Gopal means one who gives pleasure to the senses and the cows, we know. Gopal means also nourishing and protecting the senses. So, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that this Gopala Udara Charita means the magnanimous pastimes of Krishna. However, the word Go can also refer to the senses of the devotees, not only the cows. Gopal means one who nourishes the senses of the devotees. So now Krishna is nourishing our senses, because we are hearing this pastime of Kaliya. So the word Udara means also give happiness. So the phrase Gopala Udara Charita means these pastimes of Krishna, Gopala Krishna, to nourish and enjoy the senses of the devotees. So that is nourishing our spiritual life, hearing these pastimes. Because that's an important point. Because by hearing these pastimes and becoming absorbed to him, then we become free from the distress of material life, just by hearing them. And therefore Maharaj Parikshit said, Who can ever be satiated by tasting Krishna's pastimes, which satisfies the senses of the hearer and enjoy the heart? So, yes. So if we are suffering, then we must hear these pastimes. And everyone is suffering in this world. So we will be hearing one of the pastimes which will bring joy to the heart. This Kaliya Lila. On text 4. Text 4. Shri Sukha Vacha Kalinyam Kaliya Yasit Reitai Kachit Vishaknina Shapyaman Vaspaya Yasmin Patanchu Yupari Gakaram. Sri Shukadev Goswami said, within the river Kalindi, Yamuna was a lake inhabited by the serpent Kaliya, whose fiery poison constantly heated and boiled its water. The water was boiling. Indeed, the vapors thus created were so poisonous that birds flying over the contaminated lake would fall down into it. So, now I want to go to Kavi Karmapuri. That this comes from Gopal Shampoo. Yeah, he was a great poet, and he writes in a very poetic way. One day, Vanamali Krishna left his brother Balaram at home. We see that a few times in the past times. Sometimes Balaram at home. Some reason for that. It could be Balaram's birthday or another reason. And also we see in the pastime with Agasur and the bewildering pastimes of Brahma, Balaram is not there. Otherwise, Krishna could not do these things. Interesting. So Balaram was at home and he went out with the cowherd boys to play at the side of the Yamuna. Because if Balaram would be there, Balaram would not let Krishna jump into the Yamuna. As we will see, that would not happen. At that time, the serpent Kaliya lived in a lake in the river Yamuna. Kaliya had taken shelter of the Yamuna to hide for his enemy Garuda. Right, that was his enemy. He saw Garuda always as his enemy. The venomous snake, embodiment of fear. That's another point. Fear, BPRS. He existed in Vrindavan as an incurable heart disease. Incurable heart disease. This was his heart disease. It's also our disease. To one other extent that so he was like death, waiting as a helpful friend to engage one, or Rudra's fire of devastation that destroys the three worlds. The burning vapor of the great serpent Kaliya constantly heated and boiled the waters of the Yamuna. Yamuna left like having a black ball of fire in our belly. Sometimes we feel like that also, a black fire in our belly. Could it be Kaliya? Kaliya in our heart? Yamuna maybe felt like that. Thus the poisonous vapors polluted the air and caused birds flying overhead to fall down into the water. The entire atmosphere was contaminated by the inauspicious presence of Kaliya, who continually harassed the residents of Vrindavan. Poisonous fiery exhalations coming from his nostrils illuminated the Yamuna with crimson golden rays. The beauty of the scene resembled the beauty of the salt ocean glittering under the moonlight. He left smoke lingering over the Yamuna, which indicated the raging of a present fire within. Nothing could remain in the Yamuna except Kaliya's wives and sons, due to the calamitous situation caused by the poison of the crooked serpent. As one takes shelter of an umbrella, Kaliya stayed deep within the Yamuna. So this is a description of Kaliya. Next slide. Vipusmata vishadoni maudana vimashita Priyante tirayasya palinasya chankama. The wind blowing over that deadly lake carried droplets of water to the shore. Simply by coming in contact with that poisonous breeze, all vegetation and creatures on the shore died. So we heard about the poisonous breeze. I was for a long time living in South London. London, you have the smog, a poisonous breeze. So, we have our folks in Kaliya from many cities. So Kaliya's fog was as bad as the smog in the modern world, in the modern world cities, with all their pollution. So this was the first example of pollution that was 5,000 years ago. So Kaliya was polluting the air. Now, of course, it's normal, there's pollution all over the world, right? But it's not so simple to get rid of this pollution nowadays. That's a problem. But Krishna, in his pastimes, you will see, he will get rid of it. He will be dancing on Kaliya's hoods. We will see how Krishna is the greatest artist. We will see this pastime. All the residents of Vrindavan, they see Krishna in the coils of Kaliya. And they all start lamenting and so on. But suddenly, the whole atmosphere turns into a festival and Krishna dances on the hoods of Kaliya. That's a wonderful transformation we will see in this pastime. He danced on Kaliya's hoods. There is a comment of Sanatana Goswami. only was Kaliya living in the lake, it was a whole city down there. He had many wives and children. It was a whole city down there. And all these serpents, their wealth was producing poison, so much poison in the Yamuna. Now, next 6, with the 5 and 6, with the last verse. It's a different meter in Sanskrit. Tam Shandaveya Visaveryam Avakshatena Dustam Madim Sakalasam Krishna Kadambam Adhyudatato Titungam Aspotyagata Rasananya Padat Vishode. Lord Krishna saw how the Kaliya serpent had polluted the Yamuna river with his terrible, powerful poison. Since Krishna had descended from the spiritual world specifically to subdue envious demons, the Lord immediately climbed to the top of a very high Kadamba tree and prepared himself for battle. He tightened his belt, slapped his arms, and then jumped into the poisonous water. We have a purport of one line. According to the Acharyas, if Lord Krishna also tied back the locks of his hair as he prepared to do battle with Kaliya. So whatever Krishna does, it's expert. He's expert. He's an expert dresser. Now Krishna is getting ready for the fight. He's slapping his arms like this, like fighters do, and he jumped into the poisonous water. Now, of course, we know Srila Prabhupada. He wrote also Krishna book. So in Krishna book, Srila Prabhupada writes about this Kadamba tree. So the Kadamba tree from which Krishna jumped was the only tree there which was not that interesting. So why is that? Some commentators say that due to being touched by the lotus feet of Krishna, the tree immediately became alive. That's one opinion. Acharyas sometimes have different opinions. But in some other Puranas, it is stated that Garuda, the eternal carrier of Vishnu, knew that Krishna would take this action in the future. And so he put some nectar on the tree to preserve it. Well, ecstasy. So, in the Puranas, there it is stated in the Puranas that once Garuda, he went to the place where the demigods kept the nectar of immortality. The nectar of immortality, 8th canto of the Bhagavatam, where they cooperated with the demons and to churn the nectar of immortality from the milk ocean. But first so many things came out. First the poison came out also. That so many things came out. That finally at the end, dan Vantara appeared with this pot of nectar, and immediately the demons snatched the pot because they wanted the nectar. But then Moini Mukti appeared and cheated the demons by her beauty, and they distributed it to the demigods. Yeah. Anyway, but then the nectar that was left was kept by the demigods at a place protected by turning razors. Was a whole system to protect this nectar. But Garuda, he took big risks, and he stole this pot. But his swing was a little hurt, but he stole the pot. But then he decided with this pot, he came to Vrindavan and sat down to rest on this tree, and he put a pot there, but a little was spilled of this nectar. Yes. So that's Srila Vishwanath Thakur says, the Puranas state that the Kadamba tree was the only tree unaffected by the poison of Kaliya, because Garuda once was sitting on the tree drinking some nectar. The Kadamba tree lived with the hope of being touched by Krishna's lotus feet in the future. So everything else had died at the moment. All these trees, everything was gone. Until 25 years ago, still this tree was there in Vrindavan. You could see it, but finally left for the spiritual world. But I've still seen the tree, big tree. It's near to Keshika, this tree. Beautiful. And, there's also an interesting and touching story about this tree in the Nectar of Devotion by Prabhupada. So, we know all the trees in Vrindavan are kalpa trees. They are conscious. So once a devotee tried to console a Kadamba tree when the tree was lamenting, because Krishna had not even touched his shadow. So this Kadamba tree was lamenting. He said, Krishna never touches me. The devotee said, my dear Kadamba tree, don't worry. Just after defeating the Kaliya snake in the Yamuna river, Krishna will come and satisfy your desire. Actually, it was before defeating Kaliya. So this is an instance of inappropriate hopelessness in ecstatic love for Krishna. The tree was hopeless. It was inappropriate because Krishna was going to come. Anyway. Now the last verse of today, text 7. Sarparida Purasasara Nipata Vega Sakso Vitura Vishwana Pavashitam Burasi Payak Pluto Visakazaya Bibi Sanomir Avandano Satamananta Palasya Kimdat. When Supreme where the Supreme Personality of Godhead landed in the Serpent's Lake, the snakes there became extremely agitated and began breathing heavily, further polluting it with volumes of poison. The force of the Lord's entrance into the lake caused it to overflow on all sides, and poisonous fearsome waves flooded the surrounding lands up to a distance of 100 bow lengths. Up to a distance of 100 bow lengths. A bow length, yeah, bow. How big is your bow? 1 meter, maybe. Yeah, that's 100. Yeah. This is not at all amazing, however, for the Supreme possesses infinite strength. Vishnu's Thakur says, the force of Krishna's jumping from the tree to the Yamuna created huge waves, which were 400 hands high and flooding all directions. Those fearful waves were colored reddish yellow from the poison of the agitated snakes. This is like a tsunami. Tsunami was 400 hands high. So Krishna jumped in the Yamuna. The serpents are agitated, and what will happen next? We will hear tomorrow evening. So, any comments or questions on this part of the little?
It's very nice how you compile the different comments of different charities, because it gives us different perspectives. One could say, well, who's giving the right comment? Which is the right version? But they're all correct. You know, they're all different appreciations and, examination of the details. There's a lot of nice information there. That gives the pastime even more significance and more attractiveness.
Srila Prabhupada used to say, one should scan my books, read my books, and consider them from different angles of view.
What?
And consider them from different angles, from different views. To understand them. And we see here that these acharyas, by their comments, it brings us to the pastime alive. You start to see the pastime and to see all these things. So therefore, we can see only these pastimes to the eyes of the self-realized souls, the acharyas.
We have to also appreciate that these acharyas are not on the material. They don't have imperfections that we have. Their perceptions are perfect because they're revealed by Krishna. From within the heart, Krishna allows them to understand and perceive things that we can never appreciate or perceive ourselves.
It may, sometimes it's like they are analyzing the Sanskrit, but factually they are using the Sanskrit and the different meanings to explain us these different perspectives. And this Sanskrit, these different meanings are really there. They are really there, because that's the Bhagavatam. Sanatana Goswami said, yes, Krishna is left, but, and that was the question of the sages in the beginning of the Bhagavatam. Krishna is left Kaliya, where disposed souls of Kaliya can now take shelter. Krishna is left. And the answer of Sutta Goswami is, people in this age of Kali can take shelter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is Krishna himself. That it's Krishna himself who came back. Sanatana Goswami in his Krishna Lila staff says that also. Krishna is really our only friend, the Bhagavatam. That is the torchlight for those who have become confused in Kali Yuga, for all of us. Just hearing this Bhagavatam. And because this Bhagavatam has every verse is a mantra. Like we have the Hare Krishna mantra. Every verse is a mantra. Which in the Hare Krishna mantra, every word can liberate you. Hare Krishna Ram. But every word of the Bhagavatam can liberate you as a potency. That's the Bhagavatam. Good, we will end here. Yeah, maybe last question, because we have only 3 minutes.
Thank you, Maharaj. You mentioned by hearing Krishna's pastime, we can evade all the suffering of material existence.
Yeah.
So it feels we could be lacking, we could have appreciation sometimes, and sometimes we may be lacking appreciation also for the pastime. So can you say how we can get continuous and deep attraction for the pastimes?
Yeah. So that's explained in 10.1.4 in the Bhagavatam, where Sutta Goswami says, Devita Derserupa Hiyam, Sukadeva Goswami says, Devita Derserupa Hiyamanat Bhavastak Shotva Manobhiramat. That by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, that the lust in our heart disappears and we become attracted to Krishna's pastime, and then our suffering goes. But I know I was in Koblevo in the Ukraine festival, and there Advaita Maharaj just explained that. And then the devotee asked, but I'm hearing already the Bhagavatam. Still I'm suffering. And the answer of Maharaj was, Bhavasadak Shotva. Bhavasadak is a medicine. You must take the medicine by Shotva. Manobhiramat, absorbing the mind. So he said, if you are still suffering, you have to increase the dose of the medicine. Hear more and become more deeply absorbed. If you are not so deeply absorbed, surely you will become more deeply absorbed. But we have to hear the Bhagavatam. And we see Maharaj Pariksit, he was ecstatic. He said, I don't feel the suffering of this thirst, and he did not eat for the last 5-6 days. No suffering, nothing. So that is the effect. Increase the dose. And also the quality of hearing, of course. But that will come when you increase the dose. Does that help? Yeah.
There's a nice verse also. In the first canto of Mahatsiva, that by rendering service to the pure devotees, then our track Vasudevika,
Yeah, two things combined. Sushushadansya Basti Katauchit Shanmatsya Vyapipam Punyatachit Nishevane. Here with care and attention. And serve, please the Mahatma, the pure devotee. So we must also do service. But hearing the Bhagavatam is also service in itself. So, but of course, we are not on that level that we can only hear. We must also do some service. That if we are on that level, good. But it's not easy. The mind wants to do something. The mind is contaminated by the poison of Kaliya and wants to do something. Yes? Yeah.
What you mentioned in the beginning of class about desire. If we read and hear about this mercy and love of Krishna, and we get desire, we intensify this desire, the Krishna will arrange for us facilities for fulfill these desires, or we have to endeavor for it.
Well, you will hear that soon. Kartik will start Damodar pastimes. Mother Yasodhya was and always 2 fingers too short to bind Krishna. Our acharyas have 2 fingers. 1 finger is our own endeavor and the second is Krishna's mercy. So we must endeavor. We must endeavor. You have to come to the Bhagavatam class to hear. That's our endeavor. You have to come and be in an association of devotees. That's our endeavor. That must be there. Good. Thank you very much. Shantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.